Good.
Now we live. We're live. I'm gonna double check while you do the intro.
All right. Welcome, Lashandra, my girl. So today on Unpack Radio, we're
Hey,
going to be
Kim.
talking about parenting an autism child. Give us a little background on yourself.
Oh, yes. So I'm Chandra. I'm a goofy, nice, love life individual. I'm married to my wife. We've been together 10 years, married one. Um, and we have a wonderful son who'll be 4 next month. Um, I work in IT. I just love life. I love life.
Right. So give us a little background on Phoenix, your baby.
Yes, my wonderful Phoenix that has risen from the ashes. Oh my goodness. Yes, Phoenix. Oh, Phoenix is a blessing. When Phoenix was born, we brought him home. I was home with him for a whole year. Uh, Before Phoenix was born, I had God came to me in the middle of my sleep and said his name will be Phoenix. And I wrote it down. I wrote it down, and I went back to sleep. And then when Phoenix was born, I named him Phoenix. So last year, my son was not talking. He was not talking. He was not communicating. He wasn't doing anything that I thought a almost 2-year-old would do.
Right.
My wife and I took him to the doctor, and the doctor recommended an extensive autism testing. We found out that Phoenix was autistic and also developmentally delayed.
Okay.
Um, for about 24 hours, my wife and I had our little moment. But after that, we decided to get him the help that he needed.
So, I was doing some research on that because I have a few friends that have children or nephews that are artistic. And the one thing that most of them said to me was they were born normal. Um, and then they developed it. I'm going to say maybe when they turned one, they developed autism. They started seeing a change in their child, like you said, the nonverbal. They would look off into the uh, sky or off to the side, and they
Mhm.
would not respond to them, even when if you called their name. So I guess with Phoenix, did he show any of those signs? I know you said the nonverbal. What other signs did he
Yes.
show when you noticed something was wrong?
So when the pandemic started, Phoenix was, he was good. He was going to daycare. He was catching up with the other children when the pandemic happened. It was, he wasn't around his own age, right? He wasn't around children. He was just around my wife and I. So when we started working from home 100%, I noticed that Phoenix started going in the corner and not wanting to be bothered.
Mm,
And he was always a happy baby. So when he started not wanting to be happy anymore or not wanting to give hugs, I'm like, wait, no, something's wrong. This is not Phoenix. This is not him. There's something going on. Um, and the more I watched him, I probably watched him for maybe about 3 days to kind of see if maybe he was just going through a moment. But Phoenix just stayed to himself. He didn't want to be bothered. So yes, I do agree, and they are right. Yes, the changes, and the good thing is that because we paid attention, um, we get him the help. Because if you don't pay attention to that, it can definitely mess them up in the long run.
right.
Now, I did watch a video earlier, and they said there are 8 signs that you definitely need to pay attention to. Now, which one of those signs did you notice first when you was like, it may be time to see what's going on?
Oh, it was quite a few signs, but I didn't really have one sign, but it was just him not being the active little boy anymore. Um, him not trying to talk. Like Phoenix would not utter a word. Like, and I'm like, no, something's not right. I think that was the biggest part for us is because we knew at a certain age they're supposed to be, saying certain words, but with Phoenix being almost one, he was still babbling.
I commend you, Chandra, for that, because a lot
Mhm.
of parents um, don't want to be honest with themselves and say, I see an issue with my child. They try to ignore it, think it's going to go
Mhm.
away. And to me, they do a disservice to the child. Um, and I actually had a girlfriend that did that. She actually didn't get her son help until I want to say he was a teenager. And one thing that I noticed about her son was that he kept getting into fights in school. He was getting bullied. Um, and it was so sad because no fault of his own, he couldn't control what was happening to him. He didn't understand what's happening to him because he didn't get the proper help he needed right away. Um,
Yes.
I'm not sure. So I guess my thing is, when you knew something was wrong with him and you saw the changes, I know you said you took him to the doctor. Once you took him to the doctor, what did they do? What was the next step?
So once we took him to Kaiser, and Kaiser is amazing. And when we took him, the doctor recommended the extensive autism testing. Because of the pandemic, we had to do a virtual. And Phoenix, they were asking him to do certain things, and there is a chart that they use that they can build off of to say he's doing this in a 6 to 9 months rather than him doing this in a 24 to 36 months. So what they're basing it off of is like for instance, if I started crying, will he come to me and try to find out what's wrong, try to, pat on my back or something like that. Little things like that. But when we got him tested, when they did the extensive autism testing, and we got the results back in about I think it was probably 48 hours, and I got the email, and when I got the email, we were looking, and I was like, okay, they got the results back. Let's see what the doctor said. So we're scrolling, and that's a lot of paperwork, and I get it. So we scrolling, and it said he is on the spectrum. Yes, as a parent, that does hit you like a ton of bricks, right? Because now there's something wrong with my son,
Right.
and it's like, okay, what does this mean? Now, what does this mean? And I promise you, for 24 hours straight, my wife and I went through a crying session. We went through a angry session. We went through a mad session. We went through why God session. We went through all of that. And then after that 24 hours was up, I said, okay, babe, we got to get him the help. What we going to do? We had our moment. And that's the thing that parents need to stop. They need to stop being about them. It's not about you as a parent, it's about your child. And when you don't accept that, all you're doing is setting them back. And that's not fair to them. I even had to fight with the school. The good thing about the him being on the spectrum is number one, you are already your child is already on an IEP, an individualized education plan, which they have to meet the needs that you ask for to get your child where you want them to go. So we have the control in our hand. We have the control in our hand to say, okay, we want this help for our child. This is what we're asking you to do.
Right.
Phoenix, Phoenix has been in school. When I
Okay.
say I'm so proud of my son, I am so proud of Phoenix because Phoenix not only not only did he go to school, he also went to daycare. And with the school, they teach him how to communicate. Number one, with him being autistic, and number two, with him being developmentally delayed. And
Okay.
so there's an infant and toddler program. A lot of people don't even realize that PG County Public School System has what you call the infant and toddler program. If your child is diagnosed with a disability, they put them in that infant and toddler program and they grow from there. Phoenix was in the infant and toddler program with PG County Public Schools. He is now riding a bus to school and from daycare to school every single day. And when I say my son is talking, he was not talking last year. He was not talking last year. My son is talking, and it just brings so much joy. I know y'all see the joy. It just brings
Right.
so much joy to my heart because if we were to stay in that bubble of, nah, this ain't right. I don't know what the doctor's talking about. He wouldn't be where he is today. He wouldn't.
Now,
And that's why his name is Phoenix, because he
Absolutely.
is rising from the ashes and he is going to surpass all that craziness. It looks real cute on paper. And then I say it all the time, it looks cute on paper, but we're not gonna use that. He's not gonna be raised with saying that you have this disability, so you cannot go this far. I tell him all the time, reach for the stars, son. And if your hands are too full, put them in your pockets and reach for some more.
Absolutely.
now, my
Yeah.
question is for the parents out there: what is the process of getting an IEP? And keep walking us through that process for the parents out there that may
Yes.
not need one.
Yes. Yes. Sure will. So with the IEP, once your child is diagnosed with a disability, you have to provide that to whatever county you decide to put your child in. Once they see that your child has a disability, they will then put them on they will put them on an individualized education plan. Basically meaning they're not in around the population of those children. They're around children like them. And they slowly, gradually bring in the other children, but until they can meet the needs and say, okay, this is what mom goals are, or this is what we have to meet to make sure he's reaching that goal. So to get an IEP, and a lot of people don't know about it, and I'm glad you asked, because they think that the school is supposed to automatically know. No, us as parents, we have to be the advocates, right? We have to run, we have the ball in our hand, and then we have to pass the ball. But we have to pass the ball with the correct information, and going at a person. Presentation means everything. So presenting this to someone saying, listen, my child needs help. My child was this diagnosed with this from this doctor. Here's the documentation. How do I get them on an IEP?
Hmm.
Hmm. Now, do you have to also see some type of clinical psychologist also in the IEP process?
No, the only so Phoenix does see he does see a speech therapist for his speech, because with him talking, the words are not pronounced the way that they should be. So he sees a speech therapist to help him in that manner. But it depends on the child. Now that's up to the child. If they feel like the child needs we have speech therapy, you have occupational therapy, you have a what is it? ABA, I think, therapy. But that depends on where they are on the spectrum. Like if they have autism, because the spectrum consists of high, medium, I think it's high, critical, high, medium, low, like that. And so it depends on how much therapy your child will need, depending on where they fall at in the spectrum.
Okay.
DJ Smoke, your parent? Any thoughts?
I, I, I don't really know about that. But I do want to be educated on that. Um, I know a couple of people that have I've dated in the past. Uh, the chick that had her son had autism and he couldn't say anything, and she was just telling me that it was hereditary. It was in her family, and I mean he would like run around and stuff like that. Actually, I think I had her live with me for about a month, but I was trying to understand how do I communicate
Mhm,
that, and
mhm,
that was difficult because I mean I was young too, but I didn't know what to do, you know.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
nothing about that.
yeah. With autism children, like, I mean, you don't, like I said, he may have been on a higher spectrum, is why, he was not being able to keep still or whatever the case may be. But, the thing about it is, yes, some doctors say it's hereditary. But believe it or not, I believe it's 1 out of 5 boys are born autistic.
Mm.
I believe that's what it is. So, and it's very rare that you see, girls with autism, but 1 out of 5. So imagine that, right? So that's why you're hearing more about it because honestly, if you think about it, we didn't hear a lot about autism years ago. You know, we didn't hear about that. The reason it's happening now is because these children, the pandemic, number one, because you took them away from how they develop, right? And
Right.
when they're just around adults, they can't develop the way they would if they were around um their own age group. So that played a huge factor. It's just certain things, but again, if you wait until they are a teenager, now let's go back. I said the infant and toddler program. So if you wait, you can't even go backwards to start them from that place, right? So they've already skipped so many resources that they could have had that could have helped them build that, confidence, build that how to communicate, build that speech. But when we as parents make it about us, is unfair to them.
Mm. Now,
Yeah.
one of my favorite people always say, because his past experiences being in the educational field, for some reason, Dr. Umar feel that IEPs are dangerous for children of color. So, what resources did the school system give you to make sure they're being the proper advocates for your child?
Yes, so I had a meeting when Phoenix was part of the infant and toddler program. I had a meeting with um, the counselors and people who were going to be involved, and I asked them to explain to me what this IEP is. I need to understand what's going on because my only thing is I don't need you to tell me what level he should be on. Like I need you to tell me how I need to understand this IEP and where it comes from. And so I do not agree with him on that because I have had, I have had, oh man, I mean, we done had quite a few meetings, IEP meetings. And what it does, it shows you the progression. It shows you because when we have his IEP meetings, when we first had his IEP meeting, they were trying to teach Phoenix how to put his little name on the board. Phoenix couldn't do anything that simple that we think is simple, right? He couldn't do that. He didn't understand why this can't stay right here. 'Cause I don't know, or put it up there and like he thinking he put it up there and he's not. So what the IEP what has shown us is that it's showing us his progress. And so I don't I mean, we all as educators, I used to teach high school and middle school. We all as educators, we have our opinion on things, but for my son, I can't speak for anyone else, but for my son, I do see progress with this IEP because I have things in black and white.
Mm. So when you say you see progress, where you saw him when the pandemic first hit compared to now, if you had to range it on a percentage of 0 to 100%, where is his progression at now?
Oh, my baby boy is at 110%. Okay.
All right.
That's cool. That's
Yes,
cool.
yes, he is.
That's that
Whew.
because that's
And
one thing that
it's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. It is. It is not easy. It's already not easy raising a child, but
Right.
it's not easy raising a child with a disability.
right, right. And the one thing you did was the early detection. You know, the early
Yes,
treatment, and
yes.
um, and for some reason, I'm just going to say African American parents, we don't get the early treatments as soon as we should.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that goes back to what goes on in my house stays in my house. But like you said, one thing you said, we're doing a disservice to our child. We're hurting our child. And I think sometimes our pride and our egos get in the way.
Yeah. I don't understand that because when your child is diagnosed with something, I don't understand how that's about you. Like it has
Right.
something to do with you as a parent. Like, okay, get them the help you need because honestly, I feel like this. We we are to be our children's advocate. Like we are the ones who's supposed to teach our children right from wrong, green and red. I mean, all of it from beginning to end, A to Z, 1 to 1,000. We are. But the problem that I'm noticing is that there are not parents that advocate for their children, and it really, really, really bothers me. Like I'll just be like, oh my God, my son does not know anything about outside other than the playground, and that's it. He don't know anything about all of the other stuff that goes on outside.
Right.
Because we don't, I mean, honestly, let's remember when we were. I know me. I used to enjoy jacks, checkers. I mean, all that stuff. And like these kids don't have that because there are no advocates. We as parents are supposed to be advocates for our children. And when we are not advocates for our children grow up lost. And I just cannot, I just can't watch my son just spiral downhill because we were selfish and we didn't want to give him the help.
Mm. Now, did your child stay in the public education system, or did they use a smaller institution to educate your child?
No, he's in the PG County public school system. I've even had I've even had meetings with the top officials of PG County because I am that advocate. I am that advocate. I have literally had a conversation with the CEO, the deputy CEO, the special education coordinator. I had those meetings with them because I needed them to understand that this is my son and this is what he needs. And if you can't listen, if you can't do it, then somebody else went to school for it and they'll do it for you. And we've been
That's
rolling
true.
since. Yeah.
Uh,
So
Now, what type of resources is the school providing to make sure that your child does have the proper resources and education available? Do they have any type of counselor, one-on-one session,
Speech
smaller,
therapists.
smaller classroom? What are they doing?
yes, so he is in a smaller classroom. They do have counseling sessions, but because of his age, they don't do it one-on-one. They do it in a little group session with the children. Um, they follow, they have a curriculum that they follow in reference to kind of making sure that, well, not kind of, let me not use that word. I don't like using that word. They use resources from research and things like that to continue to learn and grow and teach themselves because, like I told them, you have to teach us so that we can know how to handle him. and deal with what's going on. And so their resources, they have good resources there. The principal there, she's amazing. Um, that they have, not only does he have a counselor, he also has a paraprofessional. He has a primary teacher, but he also has a secondary teacher. He has a speech therapist inside the school, on top of a speech therapist that comes to the house. So they provide good resources to help Phoenix progress and grow.
So I got a question for you because even with a child who doesn't have a disability, as a parent, you always worry about your child. If there's something that you are concerned about for Phoenix as he grows upon this mean, cruel world sometimes, what would that be?
Oh, I just want of him being around his own peers, because generations are being, um, his generation are being killed, and just that he can have what I had,
Right.
um, what I had growing up as a child, and being around your own peers and having a good time and things like that. I think my I won't say fear, but the I don't know, maybe it is fear that when he gets older, will he have friends? Will he have those children around him that's nice like him, not wanting him to have to experience being bullied. That's my thing.
Now, I do have a question because I have two parents on the panel plus the guests. How do you prepare
Okay.
your child for the world? DJ Smoke, how do you prepare your child for the world?
That's a hard question. Um,
Because they have to go live in it, unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, cause we live in it.
Yeah, we live
So
in it. So we have to go live in this world. So how do you prepare your child for the world that we currently live in?
I think I mean, first of all, you have to be honest and tell them exactly what's going on in the world. You can't sugarcoat anything. Depending on like how old they are and where they at, you just got to let them know that, hey, this is going on in the world. It's what I've been through when I went to school, and that's all I do with my daughter. I only, I just have one child, and I
Okay.
talk to my daughter like if I was talking to y'all. Like I'd be real with her, um, cause we have that kind of bond or whatever. But yeah,
Mm.
that's all I can do. Just be real. Just talk to her regular.
Kimberly, how did you prepare your child for the world?
Ooh. So I guess for me, because mine is grown, what I did was left. I let her know that if there's anything that she needs to talk about, to come to me freely, not to be afraid to talk to me about anything, whether it was right or wrong, and I would have an open mind about it. Um, because things are going to happen, good, bad. Your kids are going to do things that you don't think they're going to do. So I just always wanted to have a open door so when she feels comfortable and she can come and talk to me and without repercussions. Yeah.
I think that's a good approach
Yeah.
because I think some parents live in denial that their children are perfect, but they don't really prepare them for the consequences.
There's no perfect child.
Trust me.
Yeah, not at
There's
all.
no perfect child.
We weren't perfect,
Yeah.
so
We weren't perfect.
we can't
So
expect our kids to be perfect.
facts.
Right, right.
Now, since we have somebody currently who has a child in school, what do you do to advocate for your child during her
But
education
she's going
process?
through what's going on in the world, and I just told her like that's what's happening because she don't understand like why she's in middle school and she don't understand like why these girls be fighting. She saw a fight the other day and she saw one of the girls pull the other girl by her hairs, like girl had like fake hair or whatever, and yanked the whole head and all that. I was like, that's just it's been going on for years, and so I was like, if you're fighting somebody, if you're a female, you go for the head. I'm not telling her to fight. I'm just saying, I'm explaining like why she did what she did. You know what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't you grab her hair?
But you do have to tell your kids to protect themselves.
Yeah, but I was like, you got to protect yourself. So my daughter has long hair, but she don't have the little fake hair that you can just drag and all that. Like, no. So I said, no, you always got to protect yourself. I just like I said, I'm real with my daughter. These kids is off the chain these days. So ain't no telling what they doing.
So Sean, I gotta ask you something. I know you said for the first 24 hours after Phoenix was diagnosed, and of course, any parent would have a meltdown. Did they provide you like with any information, like for support groups for kids with autism?
Yes, they did. The reason I laugh is because we were part of a couple of the groups, but the problem that I have with the groups is these parents let their kids do what they want to do because they're autistic, and that's not happening. That's just not going to happen. You don't raise your child does not run your household. You know, that was my issue with the support group. It's like I feel bad for some of them because yes, some of those children, oh my goodness, but it's like, we can't lose ourselves because who's going to raise our child? So you got to get them the help. It is too much help out here. It is too many resources out here for parents not to say, listen, I need help. I need to know how to get the help for my child so that they can relax. I think on the news maybe about 3 weeks ago, they were talking about how more kids are diagnosed with autism. And a person commented and said, oh, they're just doing that for the medication. My son does not take a pill of anything. He does not take a drink of no medicine. So I don't know why people think that when your child is diagnosed with autism, that automatically they're given a piece of medication. I don't like that because that's not how you're supposed to treat a child who they don't understand why they can't connect the dots, why they need help with us helping them connect the dots. But all it's going to do is cause frustration.
Right.
And frustration causes what? A child to act out because it's like, okay, this is enough of this. I'm gonna just do me, and ain't nobody gonna say nothing anyway because they don't know how to control me.
So if you so right now, if someone came to you and they just told you that my child just got diagnosed with autism, what would you say to them? What would you do to encourage them?
I would tell them first, all right, so now you have spoken it, so you're not in denial. You're not in denial. What you have to do now, they're diagnosed. What county do you live in? Because I just found out my cousin has a daughter who was diagnosed with autism, and I told her, "Oh, PG County has the infant tolerance program." Now realizing, oh my goodness, she just told me Montgomery County has the infant tolerance program. So my first thing is get with the county and let them know your child was diagnosed with autism. You need to get them in the infant and toddler program so that they can get the help now. And that was I will. There are no cut cards like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't have nothing to be sorry about. I mean, it's not you, it's your child. So get them the help. Go to your county. Let them know. Go to the Board of Education because that's what we did. We went up right up to Board of Education in PG County and told them what was going on. We emailed and all of that. But again, this is where it comes in. You now have to be the advocate for your child.
Right.
Yeah,
So
so
let me
that's
ask you
what I would
this.
definitely do. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I thank God Phoenix is doing well. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes.
Can you see yourself now trying to be an advocate for autism awareness?
You know, Kim, I feel like I need to kind of get my, I keep saying kind of, but I need to get my voice out there because I do want to speak more about autism awareness and uh, and how we as advocates for our children and how my son did not talk, we had to talk for him. We had to talk for him. So, yes, I've been thinking about it. I've been praying about it. I've been praying about it because I did not realize I had a voice. I did not realize that, oh my God, my son literally brought this out of me. Like, to be that voice and to speak and to say, parents, oh my God, do y'all know how much resources out here? Look at my son. My son is a prime example. He was not talking last year. He was not doing anything. Everything he's doing, going to the, mind you, I must tell y'all this real quick. I probably trained my son at one using Alexa, and he was not talking. Because what I learned is autistic children uh, draw more to sound. So me using Alexa helped him get potty trained. So when he started school, they said, "Oh, well, do you have pull-ups?" I said, "Pull-ups for what?" My son is potty trained. He may not be talking, but he know what a toilet is. So again, because I advocate, and yes, I do think I'm going to, work on that because um I watched the documentary 702. I don't know if you guys remember the group 702 back in the day, but one of the young ladies, I cannot remember her name, she actually has a foundation in Atlanta because her son is autistic and I believe also developmentally delayed. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness, like we need to be more voices, out here so that parents won't feel you're alone because it does make you feel like, okay, where do I go? Where do I
Right.
turn to? Who do I call? Who do I write? And the good thing about us, the very good thing about us is that literally Kaiser held our hand all the way to PG County Public School System.
That's good. That is good. That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
The first lady was nice enough to do some free research. So first and foremost, we are not sponsored by any of these individuals. Do your own background research on these institutions to make sure it's the best place for your child. But Kim, can you give us that information, please?
Well, I was looking at something, and Chandra probably can help out as well. But I know Mayo Clinic has a website of doctors who specializes in autism, and their website was www.mayoclinic.org.
Say that one more time,
It's
please.
www.mayoclinic.org. And if you go to websites, you can actually type in support groups. But as Chandra said, you have to find something that works for you. But then you also have to make sure you're doing what you need to for your own household. Like you said, you can't let your kids run rampant without still discipline. They may have a disability, but they still got to have some discipline. So Chandra, I know we're about to wrap it up, but what would you like to say? What
okay.
else would you like to add?
Well, I just thank you guys because my voice is going out here, and I just hope that this touches someone who is dealing with their child being recently or being diagnosed with autism, and to know, I just want people to know, parents, there are resources, and we must be advocates for our children.
I thank you so much for sharing your story and trusting us with it. I really do. And anybody knows I've seen
Thank you.
Phoenix grow up throughout the years. He is so precious.
How old
Thank
is he?
you.
How
He'll
old is
be
he?
4 next month.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just got my school pictures.
All right. That's cool.
Yes, they were amazing, weren't they?
They were.
Oh, I had a little tear when I picked them up.
But I hope everything work out for you. You know,
Thank
just
you.
keep
Thank you so
you
much.
got to keep the prayers going. You know, keep your spirits up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right. And keep being advocates for our children.
got to.
Absolutely.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Now, Kimberly, normally I do the closeout thoughts, but you're the parent here in the situation. What's your closeout thoughts?
Uh, my closeout thoughts is, one, we got to keep each other in prayer. We don't know what each other are going through in our life. So, one thing I will say, if your child, if you see anything about your child that's different, get them the help that they need, and because you're saving their life. You're helping them down the long run. You're helping them become a better person, a better human being, and you're looking out after their well-being. Because one thing for sure, we teach our children to live with us and not without us, and we want to give children like Phoenix and everyone else a better chance to be able to live in this world and be able to function. And so, what I will say is, look out for your kids. Do your kids a service, not a disservice, and just keep loving on them.
Yep.
That's the way to close it.
I don't have
All
nothing to say
right.
after that.
On that note, we'll see you next time on Impact Radio.
Thank you, Miss
All right.
LaShonda. Love you,
Thank
honey.
you. All right now.
All right.
Um, so
So
is there a way to send her that?
I'm about to do it now.
Okay.
so was the other?
Yeah, I just now hit her up
I'm
and
not
said,
doing that one.
Oh, okay.
I was just doing this one because.
Yeah. Now he already told me that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's all
No,
good.
y'all got y'all stuff.
Well, we got our stuff. That's cool.
I'm about to think it out loud.
He still hurt my